Hello again to this video clip series, my journey to God in a very secularized world. We had begun talking about in the last one or two video clips of a particular exorcism of a woman in France who they, after being thoroughly examined at the level of psychology, psychiatry by the best experts, they discovered that it was she was possessed by a good number of demons, both angelic and human. And you can find this, we're going through that, you can find this on the internet written. It's called "A Damned Priest Warns About Hell." And they had discovered in this woman now also a priest that went to hell, and she was also possessed by this damned priest. Going through this now, I'd like to talk about a little bit now about exorcism, the difference between exorcism and spiritism. Exorcism is not spiritism. Divination, witchcraft, and spells of the dead are strictly prohibited in the Old Testament, Deuteronomy 18:9 and following. So unfortunately, it has become common to condemn exorcisms using isolated sentences of the Bible taken out of context, even that which God allows for the good of souls. With this procedure, however, one would condemn the missionary St. Francis of Geromino that publicly implored a dead girl, even though he obtained in this way massive conversions. Spiritualism, confined in confidential circles, practices witchcraft, implores the dead, and makes the tables speak for pure curiosity and for the taste of the sensational, and obtains from the infernal world, through the so-called black magic, miracles and healings, which is forbidden by the Bible. You can find this in Job 31:26, Deuteronomy 17, 2 Kings 23, in the Catechism 21:16. Exorcism, instead, one connects on a totally different ground. Christ himself ordered exorcism to the apostles and the disciples when he told them expressly, "Heal the sick, cast out demons." You can find that in Luke 9, Matthew 10, Mark 6. One would go far beyond the limits of this work if one wanted to look at the different species of possession, of written promises to the devil, of curses, of obsession, of possession, of reparation, and so on. According to the unanimous opinion of all the exorcists who have dealt with this case, we are dealing here with a case of possession atoning for the fulfillment of a higher mission addressed to our times. One recognizes the reflection of St. Augustine. As an artist, and a great artist, God makes use also of the devil. So what we're talking about here is a woman who was possessed, but it was really like a special cross from God so that she would become holy, but also to offer the graces of the salvation of many other souls. Speaking with the devil is therefore possible, but the question is it useful? Asks Van Damme in his explanations. He wrote a book called Demons and Possessed. And basing himself on the rich experience of the exorcist, he replied to the affirmative. He says, yes, because this explains many aspects of the case of possession of which one is dealing. Moreover, usually only in this way is it possible to cast out the devil. The conversation, however, must be in the first place an interrogation, and lasts only as long as is necessary. The ritual forbids curious and unnecessary questions, and gives precise orders on how the exorcism must take place. In exorcism, above all, operates the power over the devil, which the priestly ordination confers on the priest. Often, only the stole and the imposition of the hands of the priests already causes violent reactions by the demons. The same thing occurs with the use of holy water, relics, and blessed objects. In the Journal of the Missionaries of the Holy Family, there was written in the 50s the following fact. In June 1949, a group of doctors arrived from Bologna in Italy to Sardinia in the zone of Forli to attend an exorcism. They were all incredulous, at least very skeptical. The priest began the exorcism. The surprising answers of the patient in many different languages, with technical knowledge in many different fields, astonished the doctors. After the expulsion of the devil, they were all converted and frankly agreed that these phenomena were inexplicable by natural reason. A professor of theology went so far as to declare that today there is no more possession, and that claims to the contrary are just superstition and stupidity. Having become a bishop, he found himself in 1950 in Sardinia and witnessed an exorcism. After the exorcism, he publicly retracted his previous position and declared, "The devil exists. I would not have imagined what power, and in this world even today, if I had not seen it with my own eyes." Now I'd like to talk a little bit about why is the possessed not yet free? Why is the possessed not yet free? Experience shows that demons are not easily driven out from their place of residence, but they come out only when they can no longer resist the power of the exorcist. For this reason, it happens one must repeat several times the exorcisms, sometimes for years. One carries out a real fight with the demons. In a certain sense, they defend themselves with their hands and feet, with all the means at their disposal until they are forced to yield to the power of God. After the possession was formally established, the exorcism, usually with the participation of several priests, was performed several times on the person possessed, without the demons ever going away. They always repeated that they would have to leave only when it would be obtained the imprimatur for the book. The book that we're going through, it had the original title, Warnings from the Other World. But despite numerous questions, the competent ecclesiastical offices have never wanted nor attended an exorcism, nor occupied themselves with the case. The possessed, we're always talking about that same woman that possessed in this case here. The possessed was only sent back to the psychiatrist, while it is well known that after having tried unsuccessfully for years to bring relief to the unhappy person with all means, it was necessary to discharge her as an unexplained case. As I have already mentioned, Dr. G. Mauret, head of the psychiatric clinic in Namur, France, after witnessing the exorcism of April 26, 1978, testified in writing that he concluded categorically that one is dealing with possession by an outside power. As Jesus told us in Matthew 10, "Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell." Because also, Christ in the Gospels warns about hell. He said, against a certain modern spirit which does not want to admit the existence of an eternal hell, Jesus forewarned in a peremptory manner. Jesus said, Matthew 8, he said, "Many will come from the east and west and sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. These men will weep and gnash their teeth." And then another time, Matthew 13, he says, "So it will be at the close of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire. There men will weep and gnash their teeth." And in another one, in Matthew 18, Jesus says, "And if your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or lame than with 2 hands and 2 feet to be thrown into eternal fire." And again in Matthew 23, Jesus says, "You serpents, you brood of vipers, how are you to escape being sentenced to hell? Therefore I send you prophets and wise men and scribes, some of whom you will kill and crucify, and some you will scourge in your synagogues and persecute from town to town." And again Matthew 25, he says, "Then he will say to those on his left hand, 'Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels.'" Why are these words of the Lord passed over in silence today? Why are men's sins forgiven and one eliminates any mention of hell on the pretext that Christ would have brought a message of joy and not of threat? Is it not the greatest sign of love to proclaim to the people of the whole truth, so that they might be preserved from hell? Is that not true love? May God, we'll continue with this particular exorcism, the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.